Well, jaja, yes. Hola, ¿qué tal, mis amigos? ¿Cómo están ustedes? Hello, good evening. Welcome to VTTV here on Monday night. And we've got a special guest lined up, but at the moment he's not in his room. It's not my fault. There's nothing much I can do about that, which is a great shame. But when he's here, we'll bring him on. But I do have on screen at the moment the one and only Mark Van Basten. Hello, Mark. How are you diddling, cock?
How do? You can tell you've been Lanzarote, can't you? Spouting off all that there Spanish lingo.
Well, you do. I got crabs while I was out there.
I saw the video. Yes, not for me, as I've already indicated.
It was lovely. It was gorgeous. It was nice. No, it's been, yes. Alan in Tadley has just said, "Hi, Dave. Looking tanned." Thank you, dear boy. I'm feeling relaxed. Relaxed is a new. Well, yes. I mean, it was cheap. It was rude. Would have been rude not to. So you know, just a small one, as you do. A little bit of Tanqueray Rangpur. I'm sticking all the plugs in while I can. All the plugs in. Alongside, well, hang on a minute. Haven't you been losing weight while I was away again?
Who?
You.
Oh yeah.
Skinny,
Can you tell?
Skinny bugger. Honestly.
I've not finished yet. I've not finished. I'm still going.
Well, good for you. Pleased to hear it. I'll get the secret of your success later. If I'm not going on holiday. Somebody else that needs a holiday is sat sniffling away in deepest, darkest, dankest Wales. He's not very well, but he's here. Aren't you, Matt? Matt?
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah. If you've ever wondered what death warmed up looks like, that's it. That's it there. There. Look at that.
Oh, I'm an advert for it. Look at it.
Do you, mate? Are you feeling a bit better than you were last week? Because I was trying hard to find bandwidth to tune in, although it's in short supply.
You would have had the bandwidth to tune into the show last week, given it was non-existent.
I see.
Aye.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. I'm not as dead as I was last Monday.
Well, it's nice to see you walking about and nearly breathing.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way I can put it.
I just saw Dimitri's camera move to a mixer. I don't know what he's doing.
Are you there, Dimitri?
Oh, stop talking about my misty end as well.
He's putting his trousers on.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
What is up? Sorry about that. This is what you have when you have 14-year-old daughters. This is what happens.
What, you get to put your trousers on just before you come on camera?
Yes.
Is this something you need to be telling us?
Yes. Well, you know, my 14-year-old daughter apparently knows everything in the world and hates her parents and hates life and hates everything that has to do with school. So, you know, I mean, it's just a daily struggle for me and my wife now trying to, you know, get her under control. It's just nothing has been in my life, not even the antis and the big tobacco, and nothing has been more challenging in my life than being a dad to a 14-year-old daughter. Nothing. I mean, there's nothing compares to it. I'll tell you that right now.
The best is yet to come, dear boy.
Yes. I'm at the other end of having 2 teenage daughters, by the way.
Wow.
I'm still here.
Well, my other one's 10, so she's getting there. But everybody that I've asked, does it get any easier? They've told me no. It gets worse.
It only gets more expensive.
Yeah.
Mine's 35.
Wow, you old.
Just somebody kick him out the hangout, will you? You're only as old as the woman you feel.
Yeah, that's true. True. That's true. That's the pleasure principle. But in any case, I want to appreciate you guys having me on. It's been a long time since I got to hang out with you. So thanks for having me on, and glad everybody's feeling better.
We're over the moon to have you. Absolutely over the moon to have you.
Thank you.
And
always a pleasure.
Never a chore. And people are going to want to know all kinds of stuff about what's going on over there and what, if anything, is going to affect people over here in the UK. But of course, as per usual, we've got a worldwide audience. So yeah, I know you're heavily involved in absolutely everything, including the pleasure principle. We will get that. We will get there tonight. It's going to happen.
Can't wait. I can't wait.
It's going to happen. Hit it first, or go on. Come on. What's grinding your gears most at the moment over there? What's keeping you busiest?
What kind of what?
What's keeping you busiest? in the States.
Well,
at the minute.
obviously, waiting for Cheeto champion to set his cabinet. We're waiting for Trump to start appointing all the positions. We still don't have a head of the FDA. We don't know who's going to be taking over CTP and the other various administrative positions there. We're also waiting on some other cabinet appointments to try to start influencing and making the change. For us, as far as vape, and I've never in a million years would we believe that I'd be sitting here on a hangout with you guys telling you that Trump is our president. However, having a Republican administration now all the way through that includes Congress, Senate, and a Republican president is actually pretty good for us. So if we're able to get some legislation moving this year, with Trump and his cabinet believing, I mean, just look at his appointments, right? The guy that he appointed for the EPA hated the EPA. So the lady that he appointed for public schools and for education hated public schools. So if the trend continues, maybe he'll appoint somebody that hates the FDA on top of that, and we can get a real change. But that's pretty much it. We're kind of monitoring the situation as far as who he's going to appoint, and we're also trying to monitor what avenues we have of changing some stuff for the industry to make it more positive. And obviously legislation, like I have always said, is the number one. Trump just can't sign an executive order to get rid of the Tobacco Control Act. It doesn't work like that in our case. And I want people to understand that, because there is this misconception by a lot of people and that Trump is going to walk in and everything's going to go away. That's just not the case, right? So in our instance, we fall under the Tobacco Control Act, and Congress is the one that enacted that. So the only people that can make amendments to it is Congress. Mm-hmm. And there's no way that, I mean, as much as I would like it, there's no way right now that we're going to get a new category. So there's no way that we're going to get a vapor category under the CTP. So it'll be Center for Tobacco Products or Center for Tobacco and Vapor Products. There's no way that's going to happen. They're going to have to hire all new staff and it's just not going to happen. So what we have to do is we have to amend the Tobacco Control Act to capture us under the CTP, but it's an own subcategory, for example, have its own rules and regulations and not fall under the existing PMTA. So that's what our ultimate goal is. But to get there, we have to take baby steps. I mean, time is running out. Businesses are closing. The fear mongering from the media and from the Surgeon General and public health has deterred people from trying vaping. All the shops are hurting. Distribution is hurting. So, we have to put a stop to the bleeding. And the only way that we can do that is to move the predicate date. We have to move the predicate date to August 8th, 2016 to secure at least the products that we had up to then to be available on the market for smokers. And I think that's the most important thing.
What's the likelihood of that happening then, do you think? I mean, I know it's not going to happen overnight, but right. If you had to put odds on it, are we looking at 50-50, 60-40, 70-30? What do you reckon?
I think we're at 50-50 today. And the reason I say today is because a couple of days ago, Cole Bishop, which wrote the Cole Bishop Amendment, introduced a standalone bill, basically using the same language, moving the predicate date, creating some safety standards for batteries, advertising, marketing, some of the stuff that we all can agree on, I think. But here's what's really important about this. It's a standalone bill, which means that people that will co-sponsor it officially will have to put their name on it. Where the Cole Bishop Amendment, it was a rider on the existing finance bill, right? Agriculture. So if Cole Bishop would pass, it would pass along other bills as well, too. Now, keep in mind, it's very hard for a standalone bill to pass through anything here in the United States. It's very, very hard. Usually they combine them, and that's how they pass. But the advantage of having that standalone bill is now we can get people on record. They're supportive of the industry. My congressman here, Chuck Fleischman in Tennessee, he fully supports. He's going to get on board. He's going to co-sponsor it. And the more traction that we get, Republicans and Democrats as well, too, because it has to be a bipartisan effort, then the better chances we're going to have. Now, our strategy is still to push Cole Bishop through a finance budget, which is in April. So that's just 2 months away. Right? So it hasn't changed. Just because we introduced this bill doesn't mean that this bill, we're going to wait. But if we can't get it in April, here we have this bill that can carry on until next September, fall, basically, when the next session comes up. And now we have a backup plan in case we swing with the finance bill in April and they exclude it for some reason, like they did 2058. And we're not able to pass. So that is the two-way legislative strategy that we're working on right now. And I think it's a really good plan. And I'm at 50-50 today. Hopefully, within the next 2-3 weeks, if I see traction on this, and this really depends on the vapors, and the industry, they need to reach out to their representatives and tell them that this is really important to me, right? And they need to get co-sponsors. If we see a huge influx of co-sponsors, jumping on the first 2-3 weeks, that's great news for the industry, and more people won't be hesitant to join it if they see other representatives signing on to it. And that's just the way that the system works here in the United States. If they see people have a lot of interest on it, then a politician has no choice but to co-sponsor it so they don't lose votes.
So, right, for people that are watching in the States, and there are some I can see already, what is it that you need vapers to do? What would be Dimi's call to action on this?
Right. So the bill is called HR 1136, which I like that number. It's better than 2058 because you can actually meme 1136 easier. Fig Ramsey did a watch that had the time 1136 on it, which I thought was brilliant, right? So you don't forget it. So the bill is called HR 1136. So you have to call and meet. In my opinion, this is the best way to handle it. You meet with a staffer. Might be able to meet your representative, your congressman, that might be in Washington, that might be busy. But you can meet with a staffer and you can tell them how important, if you're an industry, if you have a business, how many employees you have, you need their support to come on board and co-sponsor HR 1136. If you're a vapor, which the consumer voice, and I've said it 100 times, is very, very important if it's handled professionally and done right. As a consumer, you can call your representative or ask to meet with him. They have to meet with a staffer. That by law, they have to meet with you. You're a constituent of their district, and tell them, hey, I quit smoking 5 years ago with vaping. It's improved my health. My doctor says really good things. I feel great. Please don't take away this alternative from me. It's the only thing that helped me quit smoking. So that combination of pressure between consumers and industry to a politician will force them to get on board. The quicker that we gain co-sponsors, it'll start getting some traction. It's easier for us to pass it on the omnibus bill, which is coming up in April, which will be the Cole-Bishop Amendment again. Keep in mind, it won't be the bill. The bill is just there, to back us up in case that the amendment doesn't go through. The language, and the language is fair too. I want people to understand that in order to get bipartisan support, this was written by Cole, which originally wrote HR 2058, and Bishop. So in order for him to get the Democrat on board, they had to, obviously, their main goal of putting this is to keep the products around, right, and save the industry. But the purpose of putting this individual language about marketing, about advertising, about safety, this is the only way we can get Democrats to come on board. So when you go talk to a Democrat now, you don't have to say this is not an out to the industry. Everything will still be regulated by the FDA. This just keeps the date further along, which matches our category of a technology product. We're not a tobacco product, so we need to move the date along to match the style of products that we use, which is a technology product. And we also have included safety features for batteries that are exploding and stuff like that. It's just, you just make it, you put a little caramel on top to sweeten it up the deal for them and say, hey, you really need to come on board. This makes sense. We're protecting the kids, which is the Democrats' biggest, tool that they're using right now. We're taking some responsibility as an industry and help us get on board and co-sponsor it.
It's what's going to interest a lot of people over here, especially with Vape Jam and Vapor Expo coming up fairly soon in the UK, is how will that affect, do you think, the UK market? And bearing in mind that Pro Vape's already pulled the shutters up, as it were. That seems to be like the first step.
Sure. Unfortunately, if you obey by the law here in the United States, after August 8th, 2016, you cannot put out new product. Now, apparently, China did not get that memo at all, because Smoke and Joytech are releasing product every week. But for the companies that are here in the United States, especially liquid companies, they can get into a lot of trouble. Some liquid companies here are ignoring it. They just continue to release new product. They say that they had, they'll forge some documents, which is completely, illegal. You're talking about a federal fraud here, right? But companies like ProVape and Evolve cannot release new product unless they go through the PMTA process. And we've talked about the PMTA process in the past. It's nearly impossible to get our products through that pathway. So it's going to be very difficult to innovate and to improve the safety because of this. Unfortunately, we can't change that unless we get a shot in the arm, a Red Bull, a 30-minute energy, by moving the predicate date and continuing this industry to give us enough time to go back and try to fix this through, again, a congressional process of introducing a bill that's going to remove the PMTA process or alter it, modified PMTA. Hey, let's put our products in the market a little bit easier than it is for a tobacco cigarette to make the market. So obviously, all the outlets that were getting product from the United States will be affected. So Pro Vape closing, caused a lot of controversy here. There were people that were happy, which I don't know why anybody would be happy to see a business go out and people lose their job.
Beyond
I don't
me.
care how much you hate them. I hated to see that for any business. I don't care where they're at. I don't care if they're in China or the United States. But for business, for Pro Vape to do this, I think that they picked the right time. They can't release a new product by law. If they tried to release a new, I keep seeing comments about a 18650 battery mod. Well, that would be illegal. They didn't have it on the market before August 8th. And that could cause them, they might have a little hype for the first 6 months where they're selling the product, but then the FDA can come along and say, hey, hold on a second, where's that product from? Here's your penalty, and everything that you made goes along with, with your business. So I think that they did the right thing. I think that their products are a little bit outdated. I hate to even use that term because they brought some wonderful technology. My first mod was a Provari for Father's Day back in 2010, and I was ecstatic to get it. I was like jumping with joy. With that little red screen where I can adjust my voltage. So I think that there was an innovative product, but I think that it was a little bit outdated. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it made me think, because if I'm right, they couldn't even put out updated software for stuff that they've already got out, because that would infringe on this bloody stupid thing that the FDA has done.
Software is captured under the deeming regulations. Unfortunately,
it's not a tobacco product.
I know. I mean, if you play by the rules now, Ken David, I'm telling you, just because some people out there breaking the law doesn't mean that it's correct. But software is captured under the FDA deeming rules rule too. So after August 8th, yeah, even these updates that you're seeing from the Chinese manufacturers technically are illegal. Now, here's the kicker. Here's what's really, really bad. The Chinese manufacturers are not required by law to register now. So really, the FDA can't do anything to them. But guess what? The American manufacturers have to. So I think it's a blessing. I think we can take what Pro Vape did and use it to our advantage and go to our representatives and go to the FDA and say, hey, look, China is releasing product every day. Companies in the United States, one of the oldest technology companies, has shut down their doors. This is what your deeming regulations are doing. So I think, not only do I think that Pro Vape picked the right time, I mean, we can talk about the mistakes that they've made, and they've made a lot of mistakes, don't get me wrong, but I think they picked the perfect time to get out. They got on top. I still love their devices. I mean, the Radius, I love it. I think it's a great device. I use it a lot, just like Phil does as well too. And I think that it is what it is. I think they just like any good, TV show or popular, they just chose to go on top. And I think that they did the right thing for now. Hopefully we'll see them in the future.
Yes, they didn't jump the shark and come up with something totally stupid when they went. So
right.
they went out on top.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
and you saw Evolve. I mean, Evolve wanted to flex their muscle with a 250 watt chip. Did Evolve really need a 250 watt chip? No. It was just playing this game that we're talking about. If you get caught up in that game, how do you release a 250 watt first and then you release a 60 watt, which I love. I love the 60 watt DNA. I had Mamu put in one of my mods. I love it. But first, you release a 250 watt. There's the innovation, and then you come back with a 60 watt. So what does that tell you? That that there are some people out there that are chasing the dragon, trying to compete in that form. I just don't see the value in it. Again, take the pleasure principle out of the way from a tobacco harm reduction standpoint. I think that Pro Vape helped a lot of people to quit smoking. There were the Cadillac back in the day, moving from the Ego Twist. That was the next step up, right? There was nothing else. If you wanted to get a good quality device. So, it's sad to see them go, but at least they didn't fall in that trap. And, we'll miss them. They were good people. They were not bad people.
It actually predated the Twist.
Yeah.
The Provari predated the Twist. It was the first of the variable voltage devices. I well remember getting the first one. In fact, I looked at the video, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, the one that I'd done, and going up in tenth of a volt steps.
Yeah. It's great. I mean, it was great. I bought a 510 to 808 adapter for mine from the Pro Vape site because I was using pre-filled cardos from V2 at the time. So I had all these cardos and I didn't want to throw them away. So I got that little adapter so I can put the 510 to the 808 on top and keep vaping the cardos. Well, soon I discovered the Cisco 306 and I got rid of them. But it just goes to show you that, for us, old people in vaping, I guess you'd call us, I call myself dinosaur, me and Phil, because we've gone back. But for us, it is, it's a sad day. But at the end of the day, I think from a business standpoint, I think it was brilliant. There you go. People bash them all you want, but you know, not you, not me, nobody in this chat room knows how many Pro Varies they sold. That's all I'm going to say. Nobody knows, and I guarantee you that they sold a lot.
I think the term that you're looking for is shitloads.
yeah, shitloads. Exactly.
Yeah, shitloads. Everybody had one. Everybody that was around at our point in time had a Pro Vari. I think Matt had one, and I'm sure Matt had one, didn't you, Matt?
Yeah, Matt's still got one.
You have? Oh, sorry, hang on. I've white boxed Dimi, so you didn't try again. There you are.
I've still got one. I haven't used it for I don't know how long, but I've still got one.
I've got the original one. It died. And it just wouldn't come back to life. You never know. Might be able to breathe life into it.
But it was the mod that everyone aspired to at a certain point in time.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I think one of the biggest mistakes that they did is try to get into the retail. I think that was the huge mistake that Pro Vape did. I think they should have stuck with the online sales and try to keep the price competitive. But when you try to give margins, and there were no margins, I know because the company that I work for brought them in as well too. There were really no margins for the retailers. I think it put an ugly taste in the retailer's mouth that we're not promoting it. And then you have it. Think about this: you have it on a counter. You have, you know, the radius. Here's a $200 box mod that goes 40, 50 watts. And then next to it, you have a 200-watt device that costs $60. I mean, come on. You don't have to be a retail marketing analyst specialist to understand that the people are going to gravitate towards, oh, I'm getting 4 times the watts at 1/4 of the price. That's what I'm going to get. And that's all that people really look at a retail shop. They don't know Pro Vape from shit when nobody knows who this company is. You know, when they smoked, all they knew is Marlboro. They don't know the rest of the brands, you know, and this is exactly the same thing that happened. So by them going into a retail environment really, really hurt them, in my opinion.
yeah.
Do you know what? One of the dream setups I wanted for some time was a Provari V2 with a Genesis hybrid thingamajig on top.
Yeah.
That never happened. Couldn't afford it.
Well, that's okay. It's good. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I agree. I still like them. I mean, I've kind of gotten away from the tube, and I think a lot of people have. But I mean, the radius with a P3 threaded, you know, Nautilus tank, or a P threaded Kabuki tank, or a Vika Fantasy tank with a BVC, it's just a great vape. It's a fantastic, satisfying vape, you know. And for people like me that still mouth lung. So I mean, it's you know, it is what it is. They're gone. There's other companies that have shut down. Nico Ticket, which was one of the big e-liquid companies here, shut down last month as well too. Blue Mist. I don't know if you guys, David Dorn probably remembers them. Blue Mist Vapor. Now they were called Azure Vapor. They had to change their name.
Yes.
One of the oldest companies in the game. They shut down this year as well too. I mean, we're talking about, this is not just one. We're talking about recognizable names. Atomic Vapors, another oldie. You know, he said, I actually messaged him to send me some Lime Reaction the other day. Jeff Terse, retired cop, not retired, but came out from the police force to do this full time. They shut down their doors the other day as well. So it's not just Pro Vape. There's a lot of people losing their jobs. Not to mention downsizing. Okay, we had to let 2 people go from Mountain Oak Vapors, which I hate doing. Their positions were R&D, research and development. They were really good at coming up with flavors, and you know, we'd give them an idea and roll with it. One of the guys was just a brilliant guy. He's the one that came up with the White Lotus, which is one of my favorite liquids. But their job is R&D. Guess what? We can't do any R&D anymore. So it's basically the FDA eliminated their positions because they can't put any new product on the market anymore. So think about the effect that this already has, not to mention what's going to happen in August of 2018, but just today, the decimation of the industry by what the FDA has done. And in every step that they're taking, every little hurdle that you have to pass will start eliminating more and more and more.
So how are stateside vapors reacting to this then? Because, you know, there's 4 companies that you've mentioned now, all of which I'm aware of in the UK. Mm-hmm. So one can only assume that, you know, stateside vapors are going to be more and more aware of it than I am. And how do they react? I mean, are they just sitting there going, oh, well, fair enough? Or are they getting up in arms about it and saying, well, actually, I need to do something? And if they're not saying, actually, I need to do something, what the fuck is wrong with them?
Yeah, I have not seen yet the reaction because there's still accessibility. I think me and you talked about this in one of my podcasts like 2-3 years ago, David. It's like the moment that they lose that accessibility to the products, that's when they're going to stomp their feet and they're going to be like, what the hell happened? And I think now, because they still have accessibility to their products, they're not still reacting. Some of them are using, we have a huge problem in the United States with e-liquid right now. People are just killing prices, dumping a lot of product in the market, and basically self-eating the industry, right? So they're making a huge mistake. So a lot of people are using that as an excuse to, oh, he was too expensive. Oh, people are selling now 120 mils for $10. You can't compete, so forth and so forth. So you still haven't seen yet a reaction that is warranted, in my opinion, as somebody that believes in the free market. But I think as more and more of these businesses and more of their choices go away, I think you're going to see more of an upswing. Unfortunately, our consumer group here hasn't done a great job as well either of keeping people informed as the consumer of what what could possibly happen to their accessibility of those products. I mean, I hate to say this, but this is a huge problem. People are not aware of how this is basically a prohibition of the entire industry by August 2018. And I don't think we've resonated that across to consumers as well as we should. Well, and here we only have one big consumer organization. Obviously, the rest of the people are the ones that listen to these shows. And really, the people that listen to my podcast and our shows here are generally people that know this shit already, right? So we're not really telling anybody new of what's going on. So I think we need to make it a little bit more mainstream of what possibly could happen to them and how these products are going to go away. And they will, if nothing changes. But by August 2018, I might be moving to the UK if one of you can house me for a couple months until I get on my feet.
Well,
presumably, Dimi, for spreading the message, you're going around on your little tour of vape shows and things again, are you?
Yes. I'm starting back up next month. I'm trying to get more awareness on I think one of the issues here that we have, that you guys are a little bit more fortunate in the UK that you're not as big as the United States. Yeah. The problem that we have here is that it's a huge country. And I think by having that one group up there on a federal level like we've had, it's not working. It's just not working. I'm sorry. So we need to make it a little bit more local. So we need every state to be organized with a consumer group and a trade group. And that way the state group has more resources to reach out into their neighborhoods, into their cities in their state to spread the message, than waiting for this one top federal that really doesn't have money to advertise, or they do have money, they don't want to spend it on that, to get the mainstream message out there to the consumer. So think about this, if New York alone, has 10 million people, right? So think about the entire United States. How do we reach all these people? It's impossible to do it through one group. We're just a baby industry. We don't have the power. So we need to make it more state organized. And that's going to be my goal this year, is trying to help more and more states get organized. We've done it to a few states and we've had a lot of success with it. And I'm going to try to carry that message on of grassroots. Keep it local. Try to get a couple of people to step up in your state to lead the effort to try to get the education out.
That sounds exceedingly worth. Sorry, Matt, go on.
No. I was just agreeing with everything that Dimi was saying there. And it's something I was going to ask Dimi, but you kind of beat me to it, about how vapors in the States are reacting to this. I mean, I read the electronic cigarette subreddit and whatever, and you see some Facebook groups and things here and there, though I don't really take part in them anymore. And you see a number of voices, and you see the same people over and over again saying about things. You get some that are saying, oh, I've never heard about this. But how many of those people are actually listening and actually going out and doing something? I would suspect very little is what we're seeing over here.
Very, very, very small percentage. Yeah, I agree with you. Again, sure. I think there's good stuff and bad stuff when it comes to vaping. And one of the bad things that we've done is, again, I don't believe that people realize, well, they have in their mind, oh, I'm going to order from China if it goes away from here. Or, I know my buddy down the street, he'll make me, 120 mils, which is probably true. Okay. Yeah. I mean, somebody down the street, if you've been vaping for 5-6 years, I know you're going to find somebody to give you juice. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. But they're not thinking about the bigger picture here. They're not thinking about how many smokers are still left in the United States. Right. And that's a huge number here. We have over 40 million smokers in the United States. Right. So they're not going to have the accessibility to this product. And I don't know how to say this without pissing off people, but
piss them off. Go on.
we're good with that. Piss as many people off as you like. We do.
Right. So what I'm seeing now is everybody jumping on the CBD train, right? So all these liquid companies are making CBD now because I think that this is going to carry them on. And I personally don't have a problem with dabs, CBD, weed. I don't have any problem with that at all. I want to clarify that. But I got into this, and my buddy Phil, we got into this to help people quit smoking. And that's the only thing that I'm going to continue to do. Not that I have anything against those things, but those things are not going to help my cause. And my cause is trying to reach smokers, right? So in order for me to do that, we have to have accessibility of products. We have to have a variety of products. We have to have good pricing. We have to have good education, and we have to have to at least have the PR publicly to be able to support this product and say, hey, listen, whatever the Surgeon General is saying is bullshit. Whatever your state, Department of Health. I'm meeting with the Tennessee Department of Health this Friday. My state that put out an advisory that said that people can put date rape drugs in e-cigs. And I requested a meeting with them. I'm gonna chew them out on Friday. I'm gonna say, listen, Tennessee, we still have a high smoking rate. What the hell are you doing? You're scaring people from trying this product. And this is what we need to do. We need to focus back to tobacco harm reduction. We're losing the game. We're losing it. And unless we can convert more smokers, we're a losing industry. There's no future. Nothing is bright when it comes to vaping if we lose the THR option.
It's such a fine line of an industry because it's such a microcosm of constant innovation.
Mm-hmm.
You got sub-ohm tanks coming out left, right, and centre. You got 700 bloody million watt mods coming out left, right, and centre. Right. And then you've got the people that have been at it for a while that are sitting there going, "I'm okay. I'm going to be fine."
Sure.
Then you've got the people that are looking from the sidelines going, "I wouldn't mind giving that a go. Where the hell do I start?" Because it's got to the point now where it's so vast. I mean, when we all started, it was a case of, well, pick up a cigarette or whatever. So we're not helping ourselves in that regard. And then there's, I'm always articulate myself at this. But,
just a little shameless plug. If you go listen to my Smoke Free Radio podcast from this past Tuesday, and you can find it on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spreaker, anywhere, YouTube, whatever. One of my rants this week was the term starter kit. If you go to Vapor Beast right now, which is one of the huge online sellers in the United States, or Vapor DNA, another huge, if you go to those websites right now, you click starter kit, the first thing that pops up is the Smoke 200 watt with a Baby Beast tank. The first item. So now you tell me, a smoker that goes on that website, by the way, on the Vapor DNA website, it has a Smoke Baby Beast, and right next to it has a Minnow. Minnow is the little eye care that Vapor Shark makes. It's just like the eye care. They're right next to each other. So if I'm a smoker, right, and I go there and I look at that and I'm like, what should I get? Here's why we can't convert smokers, right? We took the starter out of starter kit. And there's nothing wrong with calling the intermediate kits, advanced sub-ohm kits. Let's expand it. Let's try it. But let's guide these starters. There is no product out there that can help smokers make the conversion. After they convert, I don't care what they do. They can vape out of David Dorn's ass. I don't care. But
excuse me,
we have to convert them. It's the pleasure principle, sir. I mean, maybe
while you're saying about this, Dimi, I'm just going on to one of the most popular UK vendors, and I'm going to click on beginner vape kits.
Do it.
I'm going to see what I see.
Do it. I mean, I'm interested to see how it is over there. But now I'm telling you, just two websites.
Smoke Alien Mini.
Yeah. So if that's in a starter device kit, a Smoke Alien Mini as a starting device kit, then go fuck yourselves. I'm sorry, because that is not going to help a smoker quit. It's not.
A Kanga top box. Yeah, I can kind of see that.
That's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And also one of the things that all the websites are lacking as well, too, is matching, pairing, right? Okay, if I'm going to buy this Minnow, this eye care, right? What liquid should I get from it? Because if they're going to go get 90% VG 3 milligram liquid and put it in this eye care, it's going to fail. It's not going to wick. People are going to be dissatisfied. They're going to say vaping sucks, and we lost them again. So why not have that option? Say, hey, listen, if you're going to buy this device, 50/50 liquids on our website, here's the link. Click on it. It'll take you. This is a good selection to try from, and it works very good with that device, which is something that not even vape shops are doing. It blows my mind. Not even trained employees at vape shops are doing that.
You can't in the States now, though, can you? You can't give that advice anymore.
You can pair up a liquid with a device. Obviously, you can't say it's healthy, but you can say, hey, this liquid performs great with this device. Absolutely, you can. So you again, this is, I think, this is, in my opinion, again, this is just my opinion. This is hurting us more than the FDA regulations right now. There's no reason for shops to be closing right now as it stands. But this is the problem. If you don't cater to smokers, your existing vapors, you're going to lose them. They're not loyal.
You're talking about that teaming a liquid up with a tank and a battery. And yes, it makes sense. Of course it does. A 50-50, blah, blah, blah. Under the new advertising standards stuff, it may well be difficult for a shop now to advise somebody in the UK under the TPD, the way it's been implemented, that this is a better juice for you. You're not allowed to make those bloody comparisons anymore. Certainly not, you know, if we were sitting on mainstream television now, in an advert for whatever, you wouldn't be able to make a comparison and say this is better than. As in the UK, you can't, in an advert, you can't say it's better than smoking. It's bloody ridiculous. It seems to me that there's a worldwide push by people in tobacco control who ought to know better, who are making it extremely difficult for people to make the switch. And that's the terminology I'm going to use, because I find the whole quit smoking thing is extremely dangerous for us to embrace.
I agree.
As a form of language, I don't think it's helpful anywhere, because the FDA, for as long as I can remember, has been saying that in the States, people are advertising e-cigs for quitting smoking. And I think if you use the switch terminology, it takes it away from that. It gives them one less horseshoe that they can hammer with their bloody great big steam hammers. And they've got the money to have these steam hammers. But it just seems to me that we've been not ganged up against, not bullied, but I'm not a great one for conspiracy theories, but hell's delights, it certainly looks as though there's a worldwide conspiracy to bury vaping. And it just, it beggars belief, it does.
Well, there's a push here, obviously, from the health departments that are being controlled by the Surgeon General in the United States to do the same thing. They want to remove everything that possibly could hint that this product is better than smoking, which is, again, an organized way of shutting down the businesses. So you get what I'm saying? It's not really that the shops, if people are afraid of trying vaping, the shops are going to go out of business. It's an organized crime is what's going on. I totally agree. But there's a way of saying it. I have to bring this up. People ask me when I talk to politicians, I tell them I switched to vaping, and the benefit was that I quit smoking with it. So there's a way of saying it where you're not saying, hey, you know, I use this to quit smoking. I just switched to this product, and guess what? When I switched to this, I don't smoke anymore. So that was the benefit that I got out of switching to vaping. And I think that we can use the same thing. But pairing is a little bit different, because you can say that a certain viscosity liquid works better with a certain device. So you're not really given a claim there that this liquid is better as far as what the contents are, or what the production is, or where it's been made, blah, blah, blah. You're not saying any of that. You're just saying that these devices, you know, I'd like to see these devices come out with these little, you know, branches out of it. Oh, you pick this device, here, you have these options for liquid. You can go to this brand, this brand, this brand. These are liquids that are 50-50, and they can match up really well to give you that satisfying taste, you know. And then you smoke only 7 cigarettes a day. Well, maybe you should start at 6 milligram. Or you smoke 2 packs a day. Maybe you should start at 18 milligram. Here you go, and create the journey that we all went with. What happened to that? When did it become acceptable for somebody to walk into a store to quit smoking with an alien at 200 watts and 3 milligram liquid? I just don't, to me, again, just my opinion, this is why we're losing the fight, because we're not converting smokers like we used to.
See, well, again, we're coming into terminology here. In the UK, it's my experience anyway, and I don't know whether Mark and Matt will back me up on this, but the stop smoking services over here are dying on their backsides. The numbers of people going through the door are falling off at a hell of a rate of knots. And what that's down to is immaterial. They're just not getting the numbers through. And I think part of that is because smokers do not wish to be patientized, made patients of. The famous phrase that we've heard from one Deborah Arnott so many times is that we want to help smokers to quit. And that sounds lovely. That's like saying to somebody, you know, I want to help you get out of that barrel load of cow shit that you've fallen into. That's a very, very nice thing to say. I would love to help you out of that barrel load of cow shit that you've just fallen into because it can't be comfortable. And that would be great. That would be fine, because that person that sat in that barrel load of horse shit or cow shit or whatever shit it is going to be saying, can somebody please get us out because I can't climb, it's too slippy. Fine. But what Deborah means is, we want to force you not to smoke by making it as difficult as possible that it can be. And I think we've got to let the pleasure principle actually hold sway, because it is so powerful. It is extremely powerful. If you make a product which is more attractive than the current product, which gives you more satisfaction, which pleases you more, then the likelihood is if you're exposed to that and you try it and you gain that level of pleasure, then it's a no-brainer, isn't it? But what's happening, it seems to me, is that the FDA, the EU, Australia's TGA, and various other organisations are sucking the pleasure out of absolutely bloody everything and making it very difficult for people to experience any pleasure. For instance, over in the States at the moment, I picked this up while I was away, apparently the shit's hit the fan with dripping over there. It's brand new, nobody's heard of it, but a quarter of your kids are dripping. Because not something we ever did, is it, Dimi? No, we never dripped.
Well, I only started dripping when I heard that. I saw that article, actually.
Is that right?
I have a video on YouTube from April of 2012 that's called "The Wonderful World of Dripping," and I don't suggest anybody go sees it because it's horrible. It's one of my first videos, and I was dripping into a 510 with a drip shield from Empire Mods at the time, and I was trying to explain to people that this is a great way to test liquid or to get a good, pleasurable vape. This is 2012, so it's been around for a very long time. But those stories are going to keep coming out, David. You know why? Because the people that are doing these tests are getting money from the FDA. It's called the PATH study, right? They got all these federal grants to do these. They don't know anything about the industry. The people that are doing this don't smoke, don't vape. They're chemists, they're lab technicians. They pick up a product, and this is what they see, and they're going about what happens to be the trend on Instagram. I hate to say it as well, too. So that's going to continue. What we need to do is we need to counter those stories. That's where we're losing the fight. This is going to continue to come out. More of this past stuff is going to come out from the FDA. That's going to be obviously not good for us. If they came out and said that vaping is the best thing, even the people that you talked about in the UK, these quit smoking treatments that are dying, guess what? If that same thing would happen in the United States, these people would be out of a job. And you would think if your goal is to eliminate smoking, that's what you'd want to be out of a job, right? Ultimately, that means you won. But these people don't want to give up their positions. They don't want these federal grants to stop. Stanton Glantz doesn't want to stop getting these 20 million grants coming into his university as well, too. So they have to continue to bury e-cigs to continue to get their funding. It's such a grim premise, but such a factual one as well, too. It's money above health and lives. So what are we going to do to counter those studies? PR, which, again, I think that we're lacking. We can talk about that for days, but we have not invested money. We're giving money to groups that are not doing shit. And instead of, organizing and getting a good PR campaign to put our message out there and show the truth, we have enough science to back up what we're saying, at least for the short term of people quitting smoking or switching, as you call it. Let's get out there and be aggressive as they are. That's the only way we're going to win. This passive approach of I'm going to sit back and send an email to the editor that put this dripping study, that shit's not working anymore. So let's just change our plan as well, too.
The big problem with that, of course, is getting the cash. I mean, look, I, as you know, I'm a board member of the NNA, trustee of the NNA, and I know for a certain fact, if we were sitting on 20 million quid, and how I wish we were, there are so many television channels out there, so many newspapers, so many magazines that we could take adverts into. We could buy advertorial the way the cosmetics companies buy advertorial. We could get all kinds of things done if we had that amount of money. But getting rebuttal articles, which is basically what we're talking about in the first instance, getting them into press, getting them into publication and getting them into the news media is extremely difficult unless you've got the professionals there to do the job for you, because they already know how to. And with the best will in the world, I mean, I think the NNA has done a remarkable job, and I would say that even if I wasn't a trustee, and I'm kind of hoping that the two guys are going to jump in and say I'm right.
Oh yes, that's a given.
Well, you know,
Leon, yes, it is.
I've noticed the NNA work from here, so that means that you're doing something.
well,
So that's
but
okay.
but just I mean, you know, and this isn't a plea for funds, because there's no way we're going to get 20 million this time next week. It would be lovely if we could, but we couldn't. But I mean, £1 million buys you a hell of a lot of bloody advertising. It buys you a hell of a lot of column inches. And when you think about it, I mean, in the UK, we've got, what, 2.5 million vapers, something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I met a French girl, the mother of a family, while we were away on holiday. And we were just sitting having a meal in a restaurant. And the next thing you know, out comes an ego twist. Funny that you should mention it. I mean, this thing was her pride and joy, and she's had it for years. But it was suffering badly. There was a kind of a modular CE4 style thing on the top of it. And this Rolo was sat on the table in front of me, as it usually is. And she took this thing out and took a drag, and the look of bliss on her face was tremendous. Now, she's French. And the French, I just need to say Gaulois, Gitan, and you know where we're at. The French can smoke with style.
Yeah.
Like nobody else on the planet. The French can smoke with style. And even now, a French lady with a cigarette looks much more attractive than a French lady without a cigarette. It just is. That's just the way the French treat it. That's fine. So we'd been talking, and then we got, what is that you are using? Oh, it's a Relo RX 300. Do you like it? Hell yeah. Yeah. Oh yes. What flavor is the e-liquid you are using? And I said, well, it tastes of a vanilla biscuit.
This is turning me on, by the way. I just want to put that out there.
just tell me you've got your trousers on, please.
Don't.
So pay attention, because he's only going to say it once.
Yes, quite. And she had a little drag of mine, and she had a drag of Jill's. And now Jill's vaping the flavourless stuff that I came up with ages ago. And where can I buy this? Oh, it is beautiful. She's only been vaping tobacco flavoured liquids, and they were there, and she was enjoying them, but she missed something, and she tried Jill's liquid in Jill's device, which is mouth to lung, and that was, you could just see this whole
Sure.
with a French accent, and it was kind of, yes, you have got to tell me where I can buy this juice from. And I said, well, you can't buy it, you can make it. So I sent her the video, but she was not aware. She lives in London, and she was not aware of the TRPR, of the regulations that are coming in. She was unaware that her tank, which is 2.3 mils, we're not talking huge, would be illegal to buy come May the 20th. Just wasn't aware. And I don't know any other way of making people aware without national advertising, whether that's telly, whether it's newspaper, wherever. And I think if people are made aware, they'll do something.
I totally agree with you, Dad. I've been preaching about that for the longest time. I want to get state PR going. I want to get federal PR going, but all that, it costs money. It really does. And for situations like, we have groups here that are collecting money and they're not doing shit. I don't know where this money's going. So we have to be very careful about how we spend. I do have another episode, again, a shameless plug, called Spend Wisely on my Smoke-Free podcast. And I highly suggest people go listen to it, because we need to develop a strategy, right? And the strategy to be aggressive requires funding. For the NNA to be successful, I mean, just think about this. 10 pounds of every vapor in the UK right now, if they could give 10 pounds, that's it, 10 pounds. What is 10 pounds? Get you a couple bottles of liquid, right? 10 pounds, you would have a budget for the next 2 years to be very, very aggressive and to benefit everybody. And everybody can feel good about themselves doing that because you can do it as NNA. And on the other hand, for us, for people that are in the industry, then we have to spend our money on a PR campaign as well, too. Just like RJR does, just like PMI and GT, they all spend money on a PR campaign because that's how professional businesses, especially in the nicotine world where we're at, which is already a sensitive subject with a lot of people, this is the way that we get our message across. And it costs funding. And I agree with you. If people are not willing to spend that money, they shouldn't have any demands of making a change because no change is going to happen.
Like, could you imagine what would happen if, for one day, in one national newspaper, a full-page advert was taken out saying, "You like vaping? Come May, you can only do this, 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 and this. Don't like it? Write to your MP." Could you imagine how many people would probably write to their MPs?
Yeah.
Well,
I
how many would though? That's the question. If you think about it,
A lot more than us going on about it here.
if you think about it, thousands and thousands of people took to the streets in this country to protest that Trump was elected. Something that doesn't actually directly involve them, right?
Yes.
You try getting the same amount of people out on the streets to protest of what the TPD is doing to this.
Yeah, the point I'm trying to make, Mark, is with the best will in the world, we ain't reaching those people.
No.
We're not reaching them. Phil Basado in his videos isn't reaching them.
Right. Nobody's
Right?
reaching. Nobody's reaching. And plus, some of the big reviewers don't want to make it that dramatic because they don't want to lose the viewership. I mean, again, look, you might not like what I'm saying, but this is the truth. But in any case, here's an effective measure. Take all the vape shops in the UK to close down for 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Put a black sign on the door and say this is going to happen. Or here in the United States, can we get all the vape shops in the United States to do that? Bullshit. Nobody's going to do it. Nobody wants to lose, $3,000 of sales. They're not going to do it. This is how the industry thinks. But if we were able to do that, it would send a shockwave. We could get some kind of reverse psychology PR in the news, right? Oh, what's going on? Why are these black signs on these shops? The media would start asking questions as well to try to make a big deal out of it. Have vapors call the TV stations. Hey, I went down to my vape shop to buy my supplies, and they had this black sign on there. We can, grassroots it and do it. But again, it takes financial sacrificing, which a lot of people are not willing to do. Industry is not willing to do. Vape shops are not willing to do. And at the end of it,
we've discussed that very thing before.
Yeah, and it's not going to happen. They tried to do it in California, with Prop 56 last year. Out of I don't know how many vape shops California has. I'm going to say 3,000, 4,000 at least, right? Maybe 20 shops shut down. To show up at the San Francisco Capitol, and of course Prop 56 passed, but that's irrelevant. I'm not saying that the reason why it passes is because of that, but we have not tried the other way. So all the strategies that we've tried so far, I'm hashtagging failed strategies this year. I don't know if people have noticed it. And I'm getting some flack for it. But what have we done, for fucking sakes, in the last 5 years in the United States? What have we done? Failed strategies. That's all we've done. So maybe it's time for us to rethink this and try to take a different route, especially with time running out. And time is running out right now. We need to take it, and we need to do something.
I've got to be honest. I think it's got to be worldwide. I absolutely think it has to be worldwide.
That would be great.
It's
a huge task. To
undertake. It's enormous. I mean, INCO is making good strides, and that's going to move on. But I think we've now got to get the hymn sheet sorted out for everybody to sing off and sing the song worldwide. I think if in every country there was a gathering, and they don't have to be huge, we don't need 1 million people marching, we really don't. It just has to be big enough to get the media's attention. So if you've got something in Birmingham, you've got something in Birmingham, Alabama, you've got something in Australia somewhere, wherever, Brisbane, you've got somewhere Auckland in New Zealand, you've got somewhere in Mumbai, you've got somewhere in Singapore, you've got something happening in all of these different places worldwide, timed to go through that 24-hour period of 1 day.
Yeah.
So that it's I don't know, say 11 o'clock in the morning local time right the way through, and running for 3 hours. And get that out, get that press released, get it worldwide, that these are the voices of the people that matter, the people that actually want to use these products.
And we have to use the same tactics, David. I mean, Bill had a good point in the chat. He says, Put a sign on there that says government law is encouraging a return to smoking. I'd say take it a step further. Why would we be so nice with what they're saying about us? How about we put signs that the government wants to kill you, right? The government wants you to die. Can you imagine if all the shops did that and put that sign in their stores on a black sheet of paper? And then we just do our little thing and get on the phones. It's, oh my God, the government wants me to die. What's going on with the media? The media would jump all over this. But we have to be willing to sacrifice that one day sales. And us vapors, we need to sacrifice that 1 day or 2 days of not getting our shit from the vape store. And we have to put that sacrifice in if we want our voices to be heard. Unfortunately, every time we ask for sacrifice, it's very, very hard, except that same group of people that do it every time. It's just this. This is the group here, everybody that's listening to the show, and a little bit more of an extensive circle. But unfortunately, that's all they do it. And unless they have that cutoff, like I told you earlier, their supply is cut off, then people are going to stomp their feet on the ground and go like, oh, I can't get my shit. What's going on here with the government? That's when people will want to make a change.
Well, I mean, we've noticed that over here. As people have discovered that there's certain stuff that they can no longer get hold of, now we're starting to see voices being raised. And the question asked, what can we do about it? And sometimes it's very hard to go back or to stop yourself from going back and say, actually, we've been trying to do something about it for the last 5 years nearly. Where the fuck were you?
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say that. It really is, but it's true.
Well, it is, I mean...
It's getting easier to say it, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, it's because you're pissing off a lot of people as well, too. They might not just, people's... David, some people just want to quit smoking, man. They don't want to get involved in the politics of it and all that. And I had that approach as well, too. And I'm taking a little bit different this year. And the only reason I'm saying this is because they might just not care, Dave. All they wanted to do is quit smoking, man. They didn't want to. They didn't want to become a martyr for this product, Yeah, if their supply is cut off, they will want to. But hey, if it took now a 10 ml bottle, because this is what I'm seeing in the EU, the biggest problem that everybody has is the 10 ml bottle. I think it's great because I think this is actually triggering a lot of people to come into advocacy in the EU. And in Greece, especially, where I see closely, because I have a lot of friends that are that vape, is the 10 ml bottle has brought awareness. Oh, what's going on? Why are the 30 mils now being sold off for half price? Oh, guess what? Starting in May, you can only have 10 ml options. I'm sorry, this is what the government is doing. This is not our choice. And then you see people in their eyes are like, what? That doesn't make any sense. And it really doesn't. I'll be honest. There's really just nothing I can justify on the 10 ml bottle that would make me accept it. However, if that's what's going to take, okay, you weren't here for the last 5 years. You're here now. Let's hold hands together and let's try to fight this thing. Let's try to make a change.
It's hard to know what to do. That's the trouble. I mean, there is a map. There is a map of sorts for the UK, because of the situation we find ourselves in now politically and going forward. There is a map of sorts in the EU, but the EU map is a 5-year map, at least.
Yeah.
I was told right at the beginning of the whole TPD thing that it would take at least 10 years to win for us to get what we wanted. And even then, they wouldn't stop. They'd keep on coming after it. They'd keep on trying to get what, I keep using inverted commas, what they want, the Puritans, the ideologues. The fight's going to go on. I mean, we're talking about the NNA and various other advocacy organisations. I would like nothing better than to be put out of in inverted commas, job that I make no money out of and have to spend money to do. I would love not to have to do it because the whole battle had been won. That would be tremendous. That would suit me down to the ground. Now, I'm not speaking on behalf of the NNA, I'm speaking on behalf of myself. Yeah. Because apparently there is a thing you can have called a life.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
What's that then?
It's got something to do with motorbikes and gym. But for the last, Dimi, I don't have to tell you, for the last 7 years, all I've done is kind of fight for e-cigs. It's all I have done. Mm-hmm. Aside from taking a couple of holidays a year, and some of those are involved in it. Sure. It's all I've done. I would love not to have to do that. I would love for there to be no need for the NNA. But there's a massive need for the NNA. There's a massive need for advocacy and opposition to the ants and the ideologues and all of that kind of stuff. And it's so frustrating because it's bloody obvious, isn't it? It's just so obvious, and the science backs it up. And still the buggers won't relent. Well, they're dripping, they're dropping the e-liquid straight onto the coil, and that can only be a bad thing because they'll be exposed to more e-liquid. Bullshit. That's the only bullshit. Give me a 10ml bottle of 6 milligram and I'll drink the friggin' thing in front of your face.
Yeah.
And I'll still be walking about 24 hours later to kick you in the bollocks for being a bloody liar. That's what I want to say to them.
But even the industry doesn't agree with that. I posted the other day on my Facebook, and this is a prime example of why we're losing the fight, because not only are we fighting the antis, but we're fighting their own industry as well too.
Yes.
I participated in a health seminar that from Minnesota where they were talking about e-cigs, and there was a doctor on there that said, and I might be paraphrasing here. I'll have the replay up in a couple of days to get exactly what he said. But the way that he presented it was that a 10ml bottle of 24 milligram contains 240 milligrams of concentrated nicotine that could kill a child, right? So this is a prime example. This is what I posted on my Facebook, and underneath it started a whole debate. I mean, there's 200 comments on that.
Yes, I've read it.
Like people don't have anything better to do in their lives. There's 200 comments on people are arguing what exact content is in the bottle. Who gives a shit? I'm telling you what this doctor told another 200 doctors that were listening to him on a 24 milligram 10ml bottle could kill a child.
It can. It can.
Well, David, they would have to drink the entire bottle without puking. Okay, number one. So
yeah.
Number two, there has not been a case ever reported in the history of electronic cigarettes in the planet of a child drinking pre-mixed 2.4% e-liquid, pre-mixed, and dying. Never. Not one case.
That is perfectly true, but
there's no buts about it.
Well, no, there is, and I've got to be right about this because I asked Burnt Mayor about it. A gram, which is 4 times as much as the 240, give or take. A gram would be enough to kill a slim lad, a slim adult. And we're talking somebody 10, 12 stone. But that was by ingestion, because there is the possibility of buccal absorption and so on and so forth. But a gram, it would be the lower limit. Yes, it would be the lower limit, but you just need a child who has, for argument's sake, had ipecacuanha for something for 3 or 4 days. It's possible to do. So his maths wasn't wrong. It is possible to do, but it's a fear-mongering thing to do. It's a bloody stupid thing to do.
That was my point.
Yes,
this is my point. This is the point that I was trying to make.
I mean, this bottle I've got here, right? It has a David-proof cap. Never mind a bloody child-proof cap. I've spent God knows how long trying to get this frigging thing off. You know, when you want to drip, I've spent ages trying to get it off, and it won't go. So now it just gets the first thread. And yeah, I keep it out the road of my grandsons for the simple reason that it wouldn't do them any good. They'd be vomiting all over the place, and I'd end up joining them because I hate being sick.
And again, it's the dosage, not the poison, right? So I mean, we're talking about somebody with the gram that would have to ingest 1 gram of concentrated nicotine to be able to for it to be effective. Even diluted, it would be very, very hard. All I'm saying is that, again, I'm not going to argue this point because, again, we're arguing over what's not really the issue here. The issue is, where are the people to participate in those? Like, I took 2 hours of my day to sit there and listen. I almost shot myself with the stuff that I was hearing. Where are the people to participate to say the other side of the story? Where is the uproar from the people to get in there and dispute these facts, along with other facts that they had there? And I'll have the slides, and I'll have the audio for the podcast as well too, so you can listen to some of the other stuff that they said. However, if the industry itself takes a subject like that and pulls out knives and starts stabbing each other, we have no chance against the ones that we're fighting for, against the people that we're fighting, these huge monsters of financial interests and these corporations and these public health groups. We don't stand a chance. That's all I'm trying to say. We need to be a little bit more united. We need to be a little bit more organized and direct our aggression towards the correct avenue and not against each other.
Yes, I'm going to bring in the referee now. Marco is sitting there. He said nothing, and he's always been a good referee. What's your take on all of this, where we're at, where, you know, what we've been talking about, Mark? Because you've been sat there saying now, and I know you've been reading the various different chats. So come on, sing it out.
Well, the whole thing about the e-liquid, there's far more household chemicals and other bits and pieces lying around the average house that will kill a child a damn sight quicker.
I've got stuff in my kitchen that can poison the
documented cases, by the way, Marco. Documented cases. Because you just pull the poison control and look at it.
I'm pretty sure there's documented cases of children being very badly ill from eating washing tablets.
Yes.
Which is why now on the adverts in this country, they are told to keep out the way of children. But you've also got dishwasher tablets. You've got bleach. You know, you've got cleaning products. Now, they've all got childproof caps on, but hey.
Duriglit hasn't.
Exactly. No, Duriglit, yeah. You don't know who eat Duriglit. Matt, can you eat some Duriglit? You've got some, haven't you? Can you eat some and see what happens?
I've never fathomed why it's acceptable for a bottle of Domestos to be told to keep out of reach of children, but a bottle of e-liquid, it is not. I don't get that.
I think they like to think maybe people will use common sense.
No.
Common sense.
No. What it is that you don't get to put labels like that on.
Yes.
That's what it is, you see. That's what they want. This product contains nicotine, which is a highly addictive substance. That scares the living shit out of you. If that little notice on there said, keep out of the reach of children, instead of having it plastered all over everywhere like that, this product is addictive and it'll turn you into Jekyll and Hyde, and you'll be an utterly, you'll become a paedophile and God knows what else. They don't want sensible stuff. They want scary shit out there to stop people from switching. That's what they want.
Well, bleach isn't going to be addictive. Just one will do you. So you won't get the chance to be addicted to it.
I don't know. I quite
burn its way through.
I could get hooked on that.
What, Domestos?
Yeah, that clean feeling every time.
Now, Yana Lawless has put into our chat, and this is a good point, Yana. Thank you very much. Kids eat button batteries. Now, these are the small batteries that you find in household objects.
Do not say hearing aids. Do not say hearing aids. Do not say hearing aids.
Things like scales, bathroom scales. I've got some in my bathroom scales. Yeah, watches, but greetings cards that you open up and it plays you a tune. So even when these batteries are dead and have got not enough power to power something, if a child gets that stuck in their throat, it will burn through the esophagus. And there's been many, many documented cases of this. And that's why, I mean, I haven't got kids, but I've got animals. So I always dispose of my batteries very carefully for that purpose, because it will do the same thing. If you get a piece of ham and you put a button battery in between and give it a while, it will burn its way through. So there are lots of things that can do a lot more damage.
But none of them contain nicotine. That's the
apart from tomatoes.
No, there's absolutely none of them can have a sign like this. And I mean, look. What do they look like? What do they look like?
Oh, it looks like a packet of fags to me.
There you go. I wonder why that would be the case. Sorry, Dimi, there you are.
No, I saw it. I
Yeah.
got the other side.
I mean,
got the other side looking in the back.
We're getting the similar warnings now on mods. Even though there's a little bit at the bottom saying this applies to when there's e-liquid inside. But they're having to put it on that as well.
Yeah.
Which is just ludicrous.
It is ludicrous, but I know some people have given Aspire flack, and I don't know why. I mean, some vapors are just driving me nuts. In the United States, by law, mods, tanks have to have that warning on it because it's captured under the deeming regulation. So if you want to bitch at Aspire for adhering to the law, then whatever, kiss my ass. But the truth is that if you want to be a lawful company and do things by the book, now we're still waiting on the lawsuit, okay? So yeah, things might change because in the lawsuit we have asked for devices to be excluded from the PMTA process, but we don't have an answer yet. The judge has not come back with a ruling on it yet. And personally, I'll be honest with you, I like that she's taking. Oh, I think David just fell. Personally, I like the fact that she's taken so long to come back with a verdict. That means she's really paying attention to the case. However, the products here that are coming into the United States, if they're going to be used with potentially a nicotine problem, or as the law states, reasonably expected, they have to have that warning on it. So even though it does not contain nicotine, it will be used with a nicotine product. So that warning needs to be on those devices. So cut Aspire some flack.
So what you're basically saying there, Dimi, is stop bitching at Aspire for following what is the law.
Yeah.
Bitch at the people making the fucking law.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you very much.
I mean, it's not their fault that they are forced to put it on.
It's not their fault.
And I don't think any reasonable person is going to bitch at a vendor for having to follow the letter of the law. What is the problem is the letter of the law is an ass.
Yes. I've heard that some reviewers have bitched at Aspire. I've seen some videos of people bitching at Aspire for putting that on there. Even Phil in his video complained about it, but Phil was complaining more about the law than Aspire having it on there, right? But people got to understand that until something changes, until the judge says otherwise, until we get congressional change, until we get a bill passed that's going to lighten up the regulations, you have to adhere with everything that the FDA tells you in order to be on the market lawfully, whether you like it or not. I don't like it. You don't like it. Most of us don't like it. But that's what you have to do. You have to adhere by the law. And, there's some companies out there that don't give a shit.
Well, hang on.
I mean,
When we're talking about all of this, here I have in my hand a product. I don't know whether you'll be able to say it very well.
Flashlight, right?
Sure, man. You've spoiled me.
I'm sorry.
Spoiled me. Surprise.
That's what you were asking me. I'm sorry.
No. I have in my hand a product. And watch. I undo the back of the product, which is a switch that you can do with your little finger, and out of it comes an 18650 battery. Who the hell gives a shit what's on the other end? Right. I mean, is that torch now because it's got an 18650 battery in it that came from a vendor who sells e-cig products? Does that make that a tobacco product in the States now?
No, only if it's intended to or reasonably expected to be used with a nicotine product. That's exactly what the law says.
Well,
that is such a vague statement.
What's that friggin' battery from? It's a Torchy battery. Torchy sells batteries for e-cigs. If it was if it was branded up for Totally Wicked or branded up for any of the e-cig firms, does that make it a tobacco product? Because I'm using it in a friggin' torch.
If you take that battery out of the flashlight and put it into a mod that is intended to or reasonably intended to be used with a nicotine, then it becomes a tobacco product.
It's bullshit.
Listen, I'm just giving you the law. I didn't write it, dude. I'm just here to tell you.
I'm not attacking the messenger, Dimi. No, I'm not. I mean, but whoever.
But listen, we stepped up. Okay, the Chinese manufacturers stepped up. We have funded the majority of this lawsuit against the FDA. I mean, we don't agree with it either. Okay, I mean, we're trying to fix it, but just because we're trying to fix it doesn't mean we're not going to adhere by the law. Me as a consultant, if anybody asks me, I'm going to tell them to follow the law. I'm never going to tell them to go forge documents to show that the product was before August 8th or put the wrong labeling on there or what. I can't do that from an ethical standpoint. You have to follow every step that the FDA is giving you. So I don't blame a company for doing that. I didn't know. And it's not going to change the way that it vapes. You throw the box away anyway, for crying out loud. Who the hell's bitching? You're just going to take the tank out and vape it. But all I'm saying is that just concentrate our efforts and our aggression towards the people that are making these laws and not the people that are trying to adhere by it.
Well, no, that was the point I was trying to make. That here we have in the States, thank God it doesn't apply in the UK, but in the States we have a situation where if you can't see what's behind my hand, and that was why I did it that way, you've got no idea what that tube is going to be powering. And for anybody to turn around and say that a metal tube with a battery in and contacts at the other end that something can be applied to is a tobacco product, or only becomes a tobacco product when you stick a tank on it, or in the case of some of the mods that we've seen in that picture that got posted on my timeline on Facebook, where it said this product contains nicotine, and then in very tiny writing underneath, because they're not allowed to put it the same size, only if you actually put nicotine in. I mean,
it's ridiculous. Yeah.
My head's starting to bloody well explode.
Well, let's hope that the judge agrees with us. How about that? Let's just hope that the judge agrees with us. That's all. That's the only thing I can say on that. I mean, I don't agree with it at all.
No.
But that's just the way that the FDA worded it to capture everybody underneath there. And again, I think, in my opinion, that eventually that will be changed. But so far, it's more of a fear mongering. It's like, hey, you guys are screwed. No matter what you try to do, we're going to put this term inside there, reasonably expected, right? Who makes law with a term used reasonably expected? Only the FDA can do that. And what they're trying to do is get away with putting all these small vape shops out of business. And it's working. It's working. The battery issue here in the United States is a huge issue with the batteries exploding and these attorneys going after all these vape shops. It's a huge issue. Now it's forced the battery companies to actually laser etch on there, not only on the plastic, but on the battery itself, not to be used with an electronic cigarette. How can you sell those in a vape shop? It says not to be used with an electronic cigarette. That puts you in a huge liability here. So we have a lot of issues to work out. We have a lot of problems to work out. And again, let's just try to take it out to the people that have come up with these ridiculous rules.
I'm going to throw it to the referee again, Marco.
Well, it is crazy, isn't it? If the battery manufacturers start laser etching not to be used with electronic cigarettes, then they can't, in good conscience, then sell that battery to go in a mod, because then if it fails from user error or from the fact that it's dropped and damaged or whatever, then they're going to leave themselves wide open for lawsuits. And we know that it's so much worse in the States for suits than it is over here. I mean,
right now.
we're a bit of an ambulance chaser, country ourselves these days with the old crash for cash and stuff. But there haven't been the explosions and the lawsuits so much here. But we see that it's 90% user error. Yeah. They're using the wrong mod with the wrong battery. They're putting the resistance so low on it that it's just crazy, and it goes into thermal runaway. Yeah.
Well, hence the topic we had the conversation the other week, where should we really be having mods with replaceable batteries anymore?
Yeah. There is that.
Yeah.
You want me to tell you my opinion?
Go on.
Go for it.
Because we're in a lawsuit right now. A vape shop in California just got sued the other day. Not only did they sue them, they sued. It was a smoke cube, I think, they were using, and they sued smoke. They sued the tank company. They sued the battery company. They sued the vape shop. They sued everybody, trying to, whether they're throwing a net to see what they're going to catch. That's how these ambulance chases work. I think it's time to stop being so walking on eggs about the devices for the new users versus the advanced user. We need to go back to the automobile example. I might have given it on the show last year we need the mainstream vaping that's going to help people convert smokers with more safety devices. Built-in batteries with safety features. Forget about all this temperature control and nickel and stainless steel and 316 and 318 and 320 and titanium. That's confusing the hell out of people. We need to have those stores like the Honda, the Toyota, the Suzuki that puts the everyday cars, and then we need to have the hot rod shop. So you moved up from the Honda, you want to go into the more advanced users, you've learned about battery safety like we all did, we went through the journey, then you can move up. We need to separate the two. Unfortunately, we do have two groups of vapors right now. We have the advanced vapors, and we have the people that we're looking to convert. We can't match them. It's so advanced now where vaping has gone that we can't put them in the same room. You cannot put a smoker in the same room with a 300-watt 18650 battery. It's just not work. Again, I get the pleasure principle, but this is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about, this is what Phil told all the Chinese manufacturers. You should have seen their eyes, like nobody gives a shit. But 4 18650 batteries is 4 chances of it failing. And guess what? The people that are using this device usually have 4 18650s backup in their pocket. So that's actually 8 chances now for an accident to happen. We cannot have that for somebody that's looking to make the switch. So we have to separate the two. And there's nothing wrong with separating the two and trying to get into mainstream smokers and bring them over. And then when we bring them over, they can move on to the next level.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean,
people don't like when I say that. I'll be honest with you. I mean, it's not a popular opinion, but
if I'm honest, what you said there, Dimi, makes an awful lot of sense.
Well, I don't know whether people know, but on Thursday I take my motorbike test to go out and I've got a Harley Davidson coming. And the Harley Davidson's got a 1750cc engine in it, which sounds like an awful lot, but it's a Harley Davidson, so it'll barely pull a ton, effectively. do around about 100 miles, 105 miles an hour. If that was in a Hayabusa or there's a whole host of other sports bikes, if they had the same size engine, you would be looking at developing something like 280 brake horse at the back wheel with a top speed in excess of 270 miles an hour. And there would be people out there that are capable of handling that. I was looking at a bike last night. It generates 412 horsepower at the back wheel. 412. My car doesn't do that. In fact, there's nobody on our streets got a car that does that. Would I think I would be safe riding that? No, would I? Hell. That's a brick wall coming up to meet you at speeds that you don't want to think about. That's what that is. So it's not a beginner's bike. The Harley might be because of the engine that's there. The bottom line on it is not what's in the battery pack, it's what's on top of it that makes the difference. And that, I think, is what we are ridiculously short of. There's a new, what is it? New bell-shaped, come on, Marco, you know. Mouth to lung tank.
Spire.
The new,
Spire.
yes.
Nautilus.
The
Nautilus.
new Nautilus 2 that's come out, which is a mouth to lung piece of kit.
Sure.
And is it? I haven't seen one.
Yes. I mean, listen, we actually got these in China. We couldn't show them until they released them, but it's a really good tank. Does it have problems? Yeah, it has problems. But, you know, it's a great mouth to lung starter tank, in my opinion. Plus, it takes the existing BBC coils, which I think are the best coils on the market for mouth to lung. Again, my opinion. But listen, this is what's smart about this company. They didn't put a new coil in this tank. Why? Why mess with something that works really good? They redesigned the tank, make it top filling, and it works great. Plus, if you're a shop and you have existing inventory of 1.6 and 1.8 Aspire coils, guess what? You can use them now here. This is what a smart company does, in my opinion. And it's a great starter kit. The only thing I don't like about the Zelos is that it has temperature control on there. I don't think it's needed. I don't think temperature control is needed until it's done correctly for a starter kit.
Well,
if I'm going to start a business, and I might, if I was going to start a business just for smokers, you know what I do? Built-in batteries only, no temperature control, limited selection, all mouth-to-lung tanks. 3 or 4 devices with a built-in LiPo, 20 good liquids that are 50-50 that are going to work really good for them. And this is going to be your beginning point. From there on, if I get you to quit smoking, I don't care what you do past that. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to address this, just comment in the chat. And I rarely agree with Vape and Vic. But he said that there's a huge disconnect between mainstream vaping and advanced vapors. I totally agree. There's a huge disconnect. There's a huge disconnect of where this technology has advanced, partially for being unregulated, which is a great thing. But there's a huge disconnect between somebody that's trying to quit smoking and the available devices for the advanced, I'm going to call them advanced users. Whether you like that term or not, I think that somebody that's going to take a replaceable 18650 to use it to vaporize nicotine should have some basic knowledge. You should be an advanced vapor before you use a 300, an RX real low, 300 in my opinion, 200, whatever it is. So until we can't bridge that now. It's way disconnected. There's no way you can bring those back into the close. For example, I walk into a store, I look at the display case, and they have the Smoke Beast tank, and then they have the Nautilus 2. Prime example, since you brought it up. I'm a smoker. In my mind, automatically, I look at the bottom of these tanks, and they both have a 510 threading. So I'm going to think in my mind, I can use this tank or the Baby Beast on any device that I can screw it down to. Wouldn't that be net? Don't think about it as a vapor, okay? Because sometimes we do that, and it's a mistake. Think about it as a smoker. So I'm going to take this Nautilus tank, and I'm going to take a cell-boom tank that has a 510 connection, and I can use either one of them on that device. Guess what? It doesn't work that way. And if I hit the Nautilus 2 at 80 watts, it's going to burn my mouth, and I'm going to have a horrible experience. It's a huge problem that people don't think about, but this is where we've gotten to. It's so disconnected. We need to separate the two. And another comment that I saw, just to end this, and another comment that I saw is they said that there's not a lot of chances of people having explosions with the batteries. Guess what? All the lawsuits in the United States are user error. 99% are user error because they put batteries in their pocket, which is a common sense thing. You don't put batteries with change in your pocket. But yes, it just if you have more batteries on you, it increases the chances of one venting if it touches change in your that's just common sense. It's just numbers, right? The more batteries you have, the more chances you have.
Yeah, but it's not common sense though, is it? That's the problem. It isn't common sense.
But you know what even the Chinese said when we brought this up with the Chinese? The Chinese says, well, we can't teach people common sense. Even the Chinese were laughing at us. But this is the truth. Yeah, you can't teach. But how can we eliminate that problem, especially for people that are new coming into the we need to remove the user error as much as possible for people that are coming in to the industry, people that are coming in to make this switch. Remove as much possible the difficulty of them converting and also offer them a pleasurable experience, a satisfying nicotine replacement experience so they can get off cigarettes.
And there is stuff out there like it. For example, the Joytech AIO. That's a perfect starter kit where you just got one tube with a tank built in the top. You put a coil in and you put liquid in.
Yeah.
So there's stuff out there.
Well, I mean, in the UK at any rate, the Inican T18, that's now been rebadged by BAT, the vape outfit, and they've come up with the shortened T18 so that it's 2 mil and compliant and everything else. Fabulous piece of kit for mouth to lung.
Yes.
It's really nice. It's really, really good.
And a new one is coming, by the way. A new one is coming. So I'll break the news to you guys.
Okay. but what I'm saying is that there is kit out there, and actually that is available in Sainsbury's. It's not in, it's there. If you go shopping with the missus or the husband or the kids or whatever, it's there and it's on display. It's got the bloody stupid labelling on it, but it's there and it's there to be used and it's capable of being used. The challenge that many people have with it is that it is owned by BAT, and it's one of these things that I can't get past. It doesn't matter who makes it. If it works, use it.
If you believe in tobacco harm reduction, you shouldn't care who uses it. If you really believe about that, I mean, if that's really your goal to help people quit smoking, you shouldn't worry about who sells it.
I don't think the smoker off the street cares.
No, I think you're right, Matt. I think you're right. I don't think smokers do care. But
listen, I think smokers have more. I think they have more loyalty to tobacco companies than they would some random vape company. I'll be honest with you. I mean, this is the truth. They've been smoking 20 years. They know the brand, so why not? And then let's say if they convert, we'll bring them over to us. They'll find something better after that. But we have to get them started. And another point with temperature control, because I see comments in the chat. I just want to address them, but I want people to understand what I'm saying, because I don't want to be. Sometimes I'm taking that out of context. Temperature control is not temperature control today. None of the devices work with accurate temperature control. Everything is guessing, okay? And there's so many variables between the devices and the way that they're built, it does not work correctly. Here's where I'm telling you that here's a brilliant idea. Can you make this happen? You become a millionaire. Take temperature control and put it in a device like the T18, right? And make it easy where they don't have to adjust anything except a knob that goes from blue to red, because they're used to blue to red, as just they do their car. They want it cooler, they put it on blue. They want it hotter, they put it on red, right? You want a warmer vape, turn it to red. You want a cooler vape, turn it to blue. There you go. Perfect. Done. It's done. That's temperature control to me, and it's going to work every time. But the way that temperature control is today is confusing for advanced vapors. Forget about new vapors. I give that to my wife, and tell her to do a TCR value. She's going to go fuck myself. What are you talking about? It's not going to work. Well, this is a huge mistake.
We talked about this last year at Vape Jam. We sat on the stage and talked about this, you and I, Dimi, and Phil, and we said it needs to be like a Marshall amp. It goes from 1 to 11, and that's it. 11's hottest, 1's coldest, but they all work. That's where it needs to be, and there's enough. And people don't need to know the temperatures. They don't need to know wattages. They don't need to know voltages. They don't need to know anything. No, you just a knob will do. I mean, there are those of us that like to have all those figures to hand because it makes you sound clever and makes you look good. But outside of that, it just isn't necessary. Yeah. The problem is, in the States, you can't do it. In the UK, we can't do it. In the EU, they can't do it. The only people that can do it is going to be China, and the US, the UK, and the EU is going to have to buy it all from China because we can't get it here. And that's the stupidity of the whole frigging thing. Talking about Vape Jam, you coming?
Which one?
Vape Jam.
No. I was invited to Vape Jam, and I politely declined after the fiasco last year. Me and Phil declined. I heard Nick is going back. Nick Grim Green's going back. I don't know why, but it was a very bad experience with us last year. Not so much. I think a lot of people took me and Phil's comments out of context when it came to Vape Jam. It wasn't the fact that we didn't get our spotlight or whatever. It pissed us off because a lot of vapors were asking us because they came there to hear us speak and wanted to get our thoughts on the TPD and wanted to get our thoughts on advocacy, and we just didn't give them that opportunity. And I felt like we left the vapors down. I could care less if they want to have a titty contest or cloud blowing contest. It's their event. But when we advertise and we post on our social media that we were going to be there and going to have a conversation, and having me and Nick and Phil on the stage, I think would have been very beneficial to get, 3 different opinions and attitudes when it comes to vaping. And it just, I was just very disappointed. And some of the vendors that are going there, again, I've stepped down my foot with Phil this year, and we said that, with this copyright infringement and this child marketing labels, is that we have to stay away with it. And there was just a lot of it at Vape Jam. It was, and it's going to be a lot of it this year as well too. There's a lot of vendors there that I don't like, honestly. But having said that, I will be at the Vapor Expo in Birmingham, so I will come back to the UK. So I don't want you to think it's a UK thing. It was just, simply for the Vape Jam situation that happened last year.
We are going to come on our live shows, aren't you? Because we're going to be at Vapor Expo doing the live shows, and you're going to come on and go on one of those, aren't you?
Yes, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. And listen, I've always had a great time hanging out with people there. I want people to. I've come to the UK 4 times now, and it's not that. But we have to be a little bit firm. Not because we're personalities or celebrities. That's all bullshit. But if we're going to spread the word and try to educate people, we have to be firm with our beliefs as well too. When I like a free trip to go to the Vape Jam, sure. Who wouldn't want a free trip to go to London? Well, I mean, not a lot, maybe not you guys, but of course I could say, yeah, I'll come to Vape Jam, but that would go against what I believe in. And I think that if more people that are more in the public eye, so to speak, in the vaping industry did that, I think we'd be better off.
And silence was heard all around.
It's true. I'm sorry. Again, I'm not always the popular opinion, but at least I'm the honest opinion.
It's this sitting on the fence I can't cope with, Dimi. It's
Yeah, I know. I understand. And listen, if we, like I said, if we're gonna make a change this year, and this is what we're trying to do, stop #failed strategies. Stop it. I said it to myself. Phil went publicly in China in front of all the manufacturers and said, "I'm not going to review anything over 200 watts." You think that was popular with the Chinese? That we're trying to get money to save in the United States? Of course, it was not popular. But if this is going to be your stance, if this is what you're going to stand for, you need to follow through with it. Do you think that he's going to lose views if he's not going to review a 6 coil tank? Of course, he's going to lose views. But that's irrelevant. If you really believe in helping people quit smoking, again, I said, you're going to have to step up and say, this is what I'm doing it for. Then you're going to have to be firm on it. And you're going to have to say no sometimes, or you're going to have to try to use at least your influence to change things. And unfortunately, right now, especially in the UK, there's a huge juice dump. I know the market well. I work with a couple of distributors there. There's a huge juice dump from all these companies that don't plan to do TPD. They don't plan to do shit. They're just trying to get rid of their stock. Mm-hmm. And these people are buying it up and they're just eating it up. And unfortunately, that, in my opinion, is what I saw at Vape Jam, and I think that's what it's promoting. And I don't like that. I can't support that. In my opinion, it's wrong. Organizers need to step up. I stopped going to the ECC here in the United States. I stopped going to the Vape Summit here in the United States because the same thing was happening here. I was public about it, and people didn't like it. Nothing against the organizers. I don't have anything personal with these guys. I just can't go and support when I see copyright infringement and they're catering with all these bad, shitty labels out there and giving a bad image to vaping. I can't do that, and Phil can't do it either. And we stepped up and we said, "This is what we're going to do this year, and we're going to stick to it."
It seems fair enough to me, and that's actually brought us around to 10:05. Mark, anything to add?
No, I think it's been quite an interesting evening of chatter. Yes, cross-pond chatter.
I go off on rants too often.
No, I've thoroughly enjoyed myself tonight, I've got to be honest.
It's flown by. It has not dragged by any stretch of the imagination, and there are further conversations to be had.
But I think David, you'll agree with me that this walking on eggshells that we've done in the past, trying to keep everybody happy, trying to keep everybody, pleased. This hasn't worked. It hasn't worked.
I've never ever been a fan of appeasement.
I'm not saying about you or even me personally, because I've been pretty vocal the last 2-3 years, but I'm talking about other people. This trying to bring harmony and keep everybody happy. It's failed us, right? We should be recognized for making a change, not being recognized of being diplomatic and trying to bring everybody together. Because all we're doing is bringing everybody together to fail together. I don't want to fail.
No.
I know you don't want to fail. I know all the guys that put your time to do this show every week. You guys don't want to fail. So if we don't want to fail, let's look at what we've done in the past, admit that we've made some mistakes, including myself. I'll be the first one to stand up and take the pride out of the equation and say, I've made mistakes as well too. But let's learn from those mistakes and let's see what we're going to do for next time now. Now that we're moving forward, what can we do to change that and stop using these failed strategies?
Yeah.
In my opinion, this is the message that we need to spread around. I wish more people that were vocal about it would be stop being afraid of saying the honest thing and say the honest thing, even if it comes with a little bit of backlash from the community.
Well, it's you know me. I have great difficulty in keeping my mouth shut at the best of times. And thanks for that,
That's
Matt.
the truth.
You're welcome.
No, I mean, look, the bottom line on it is I've always spoken it the way I've seen it, and my message hasn't changed. Even today, in replying to a post, I was saying, if nicotine came in a nice mug with a frothy top with cinnamon sprinkles on the top, nobody would say anything about it. And that hasn't changed for the last 7 years. My thoughts on it have always been, it's why I'm only allowed out on weekends. Because I don't mind being a rabble rouser. Some bugger's got to do it. It might as well be me. But yeah, look, we need to pull this together and say thank you very much for you joining us tonight, Dimi. I hope it's not going to be too long before we'll have you back again, because
I really enjoyed it. Yeah, absolutely. Anytime that you guys want, holler. I'll jump on as we get more developments with the lawsuit and the bills coming through. Obviously, I want to keep everybody, especially on that side of the pond, updated with true and accurate information, because there's a lot of misinformation on the internet. Apparently, if you vape and you're on Facebook, you become an engineer, you're a doctor, you're a lawyer. It all comes with some magic juice that makes you into that. But try to get your information. Stop the fake news that Donald Trump is spreading around and get the accurate information for once. But and also, just one more thing, I want everybody to understand: do your part, do something. It's up to us, guys. This is what we have. We don't have the billions of dollars. Just step up and do something, help somebody, and let's change. Let's get better for this year. We have a chance.
We have. We've got till May to get some hellish good changes made, and let's do our best to do that. Matt, last word from you, from your Walesian.
Yes, I must press OK on my telly. I was going to turn off in 1 minute. Other than that, I've got. I thoroughly enjoyed tonight. Some good topics, I think, of conversation.
Yes, it's great when you're well rehearsed, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Well, we've been practicing for days.
I've got to just say before we go, next week we do have Professor Robert West on the show.
Oh yes,
fantastic.
Talking about the recent study. Now it's been a few weeks since that study, but unfortunately he's been a busy man, so we had to book him 3 weeks in advance. So he's coming on next Monday night.
Right. Have I got to read?
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
It'll be good. So that's confirmed, is it, Mark?
It's confirmed, yeah.
Right. I'll need to read up and get all my difficult questions ready for him.
I'll be touching base with him there towards the end of the week just to make sure he's all set. But
You'll be touching his what?
Touch base, dear boy.
Oh,
Base.
sorry.
I'll
It's
be
all about the base.
DMing him on Twitter, yeah.
All right.
And don't forget smokeforyourradio.com if you want to get more rants. They're definitely all there. I never delete an episode.
Get the plugs in. Why don't you? Yes, that's it. We've done. We're going to do the good night round the table, and then we'll be gone. So from Matt,
Good night.
from Mark,
Tatty bye.
and from Dimi.
Kalinichta, good night.
I nearly got the first word. Say it again.
Kalinichta, it's in Greek.
Kalinista.
That's it. It's EU, I figure I'd throw that in, dude.
Wow, you cosmopolitan hound, you. and from everybody else here at VaporTrails.tv, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you all next Monday night at 8:30 with Professor Robert West. It's going to be great. We'll see you then. Until then, vape on, vape hard, don't let the bastards grind you down, and drink gin. See you later. Ta-da!